Randy Hanagan, thanks for sitting down with TalkToDrivers.com.
Thanks a lot for having me.
How did you get your start in sprint car racing?
I got my start in sprint car racing back in 1989. I've always been a fan of it. As a young kid, I always went to the races out in California and got to watch a lot of super modifieds and sprint car races out there, and I always wanted to race. So I started racing go-karts in 1982 and racing until '88. I started sprint cars in 1989.
Are there races or tracks you want to run that you have not?
No, not really. I mean, maybe in a different series like Daytona, run the Daytona 500 or Indianapolis 500, races like that. But really nothing, sprint cars or dirt. I've pretty much ran them all.
Of the old school drivers, who would you like to compete against? Name at least three.
I'd like to run against like A.J. Foyt, Dan Opperman, Mario Andretti.
You have several wins. Which ones stand out to you and why?
I'd probably say some of my wins in Australia, because they were last lap passes for the win, and so some of them, like one at Claremont, I passed Skip Jackson in the last lap, was for a World Series win. I'd say, a couple of my Knoxville National B-main wins, they're B-mains, they're not A-mains, but, they still stand out because it means a lot to get to the big show.
How do you like running the Chili Bowl?
I really like running the Chili Bowl. That's kind of old school racing there. You pretty much, you're wide open from start to finish, and it's do or die. I mean, you get run into, or you run into people, wheel stands. It's good short track racing at its best.
Would you run some more races without the wing?
Probably not in this decade, but I'm not going to say probably not. I guess, when you sit around the house and you're not racing with the wing, you want to race, and there's a non-wing race local, and, you go do it, and after you say, I wish I wouldn't have done it, but I've always raced with the wing. I've only ran without a wing maybe half a dozen times, and it's probably not cut out for me, but I'll never say never.
Who has taught you the most about racing?
Really probably taught me the most is Sammy Swindell. I was always a big fan of his growing up when I was racing go-karts, and then when I switched over to sprint cars, I've got to talk to him and become pretty good friends with him. And probably he's taught me most about it, about the cars, setups, shocks, how to tune motors, and he showed me a lot, so I credit him probably the most.
What would it mean to you to win the King's Royal or the Knoxville Nationals?
I'd say it'd probably be the biggest win that you could win. At least for myself, I really aim for those two big races. We run good at Knoxville, and we ran good at Eldora, so we just got to try to do our best. And, if we were to win one of them, that would probably be the biggest feather you could stick in your cap. It would mean a lot.
How long do you plan on driving?
I'd like to drive, as long as I'm healthy and as long as I'm still competitive. That's, the time frame. When I'm not competitive or not healthy, then I'll pull the pin.
What do you do for relaxation, non-racing related?
Actually, I like to spend time with my son Mason and my fiance Angie. I just like to relax at home with them and just spend time with them in the backyard, sitting on the porch, and I also like to play cards, and I like to watch. I like to watch a lot of racing on TV, so, that's how I pretty much relax. Just when you have a day off or you don't have to race, just not do anything.
Randy Hanagan, thanks for spending some time with TalkToDrivers.com.
Thanks a lot for having me.